If you are planning to invest in Dubai in 2026, this video is for you. Whether you've got 650,000 dirhams or over 2 million dirhams to invest, I'm breaking down the top 4 Dubai areas I'd be looking at based on rental yield, capital appreciation, tenant demand, location, and long-term potential growth. So you know exactly which areas makes the most sense for you based on your budget and investment strategy. If I had around 650,000 dirhams to invest today, Dubai South is where I'd spend most of my time looking. Now, I know that's not going to be everyone's favorite answer. In fact, I think Dubai South is one of the most misunderstood investment areas in Dubai, because whenever people drive through it, the first thing they usually say, there's nothing here. Honestly, I understand why they say that. Parts of it still do feel quiet, but I think they're looking at it the wrong way. Because I don't buy off-plan based on what an area looks like today. I invest in the Dubai I think will exist when I get the keys. That's a completely different way of thinking. The biggest mistake I see investors make is waiting until an area already looks successful. By then, a lot of the upside has already been priced in. I'd rather ask a different question. Is this area moving in the right direction? And for me, Dubai South clearly is. One thing I've learned after 10 years in Dubai real estate is this. People might change apartment over another because of the building, but they choose one community because of the opportunity. That's why I pay so much attention to the infrastructure, not because roads and airports are exciting, but because infrastructure attracts businesses, and businesses creates jobs. Jobs create residents, and residents create rental demand. That's the chain I'm investing in. And I think Dubai South is one of the strongest versions of that story anywhere in Dubai. You've got the expansion of Al Maktoum International Airport, backed by around 128 billion dirhams in investments. Now think about what that actually means. Airlines expand, logistics companies grow, businesses move closer, thousands of people need somewhere to live. That's why the airport matters. Not because it's impressive, but because it creates demand for housing. Another reason I'd be comfortable looking here is the quality of the communities being built. Emaar South is a good example. When an experienced developer commits to an area early, I pay attention. Not because they're always right, but because they see long-term demand before everyone else does. Whenever I evaluate an investment opportunity, I always come back to one question. Who's going to live here? If I can't answer that confidently, I move on. Here, I think the answer is becoming clearer every year. You're attracting aviation professionals, logistics companies, corporate employees, young families looking for newer communities without paying Dubai Hills prices. That's a much stronger investment thesis than simply hoping an area becomes popular. Then there's the price. Today you can still enter many off-plan projects from around 650,000 dirhams for a studio, depending on the developer and the payment plan. If your budget stretches closer to 850,000 to million dirhams, that's where you can start looking at one-bed options too. Projected gross rental yields are generally around 7 to 9% depending on the project. So you are getting a relatively low entry point with potential for attractive rental returns as the area matures. Now here's the argument against Dubai South you're waiting for. If you need rental income next month, this probably isn't where I'd put your money. You're investing before the area is fully matured, and that requires patience. If infrastructure takes longer than expected, you need to be comfortable holding the investment. That's the trade-off. But if someone sat across from me and said, I've got around 650,000 dirhams, I'm happy buying a studio today if the long-term fundamentals are right, where would you start? Dubai South would probably be my first recommendation. Not because I think it's guaranteed to outperform every other community, nothing is, but because I think the logic behind buying there is very strong. Now, what if my budget wasn't 650,000 dirhams anymore? Let's say it was closer to 1.5 million. My thinking changes completely. At this budget, I'm no longer looking for the biggest upside. I'm looking for the best balance between risk and return. And for me, that's Dubai Creek Harbour. The biggest difference between Dubai Creek Harbour and Dubai South is certainty. With Dubai South, you're investing in what the area could become. With Creek Harbour, you can already see it. People already live there, cafes are busy, waterfront is active, families are out walking in the evenings. That matters. Because I'm no longer asking will people want to live here, that question has already been answered. The question now becomes, will even more people want to live here over the next 5 to 10 years? Personally, I think the answer is a yes. Another reason why I like Creek Harbour is because who's building it? Emaar is one of the strongest track records in Dubai. Think about downtown, Dubai Marina, Dubai Hills Estate. These aren't just successful projects, they're communities people still want to live in years after they were built. As an investor, that gives me confidence because people just don't buy apartments, they buy confidence in the community around them. Another thing I like also about Creek Harbour is the flexibility. Most communities force you to make a choice. Do you want rental income today or appreciation tomorrow? Here you can genuinely choose either. If your priority is immediate income, you can buy a ready apartment today. Around 1.4 to 1.5 million dirhams gets you a one bedroom in many buildings with gross rental yields typically between 6.7 and 7.8%. If your priority is long-term growth, there are still off-plan opportunities from around 1.8 million dirhams, where I think there's still room for appreciation as the community continues to mature. I like having that choice because every investor has different goals, and I don't think the story here is finished yet. You've still got major catalysts ahead. The Dubai Metro Blue Line will improve connectivity. Dubai Square Mall has the potential to become one of the city's largest retail and entertainment destinations. And while the plans for Dubai Creek Tower have evolved over the years, it's still an important landmark within the long-term vision for the district. None of those things are reasons to buy on their own, but together they strengthen a community that's already proven people want to live in. Historically, we've already seen values move from around 1700 dirhams per square foot to roughly 2400 dirhams per square foot over the last few years. Now, I'm not saying that growth here will repeat, but it tells me something important. Demand here isn't just based on hope anymore, it's based on evidence. Now, would I recommend Creek Harbour to everyone? No. If someone came to me and said I want the biggest upside possible, I'd probably send them somewhere earlier in its life cycle. Because established communities generally offer lower risk but slightly lower upside. That's the trade-off. But if I had around 1.5 million dirhams and I wanted a community that already had demand, lifestyle, credibility, while still having room to improve, Dubai Creek Harbour would be my first choice. But what if I wasn't looking for balance? What if I was specifically looking for waterfront property before the destination had fully matured? That's where my thinking changes again. If someone told me I want waterfront property, my first question wouldn't be which beachfront community. It would be, do you want the destination that's already established or the one that's still being created? Personally, I'd rather look at the second one. And that's why Dubai Islands made this list. Whenever people talk about Dubai Islands, the comparison always is Palm Jumeirah. Honestly, I think that's the wrong comparison. Palm today is one of Dubai's most established luxury destinations. Dubai Islands isn't, not yet. And that's exactly why I find it interesting. You're not buying the finished destination, you're buying while it's still being built. That's a completely different investment. The thing that I like most isn't actually the beach, it's the timing. The master developer is Nakheel, the same company behind Palm Jumeirah, but this time they're creating an entirely new waterfront destination. More than 20 kilometers of beaches, 5 connected islands, over 80 hotels and resorts planned, retail, marinas, entertainment. That's not just another residential project, it's an attempt to create a destination, and when the destination becomes successful, property usually benefits alongside them. Now, does that mean Dubai Islands will become another Palm? No, and I'd actually be cautious of anyone making that claim. Markets don't repeat themselves perfectly, but I don't need it to become the next Palm for the investment to work. I just need demand to continue growing as the area matures. That's a much more realistic investment thesis. Today, many projects still allow for you to enter from around 1.8 million dirhams for a one bedroom. Projected gross rental yields are generally around 7% depending on the project. We've also seen examples of early buyers benefiting from appreciation before the destination is fully complete. One project that had launched for around 1.8 million dirhams are now exchanging hands for around 2.5 million dirhams. Again, that doesn't mean that every project will perform the same, but it tells me the market is beginning to recognize the opportunity. Of course, this isn't a low-risk investment either. Infrastructure still needs to be completed. Hotels still need to open. Retail still need to mature. You're relying on the master plan to be executed successfully. That's a trade-off. Personally, if I wanted immediate certainty, I'd still choose Creek Harbour. But if I wanted long-term waterfront exposure, I'd probably rather own Dubai Islands, because I think some of the best investments happen before everyone else agrees an area is special, not after. Now, the last area on my list is probably the one you won't expect, Dubai Design District, or D3. And honestly, if you asked me 5 or 6 years ago whether I'd recommend buying here, I'd probably said no. Because back then, this wasn't really a residential community, it was somewhere people came to work, creative agencies, fashion brands, design studios. You'd come here during the day and leave in the evening, but over the last few years, I've started looking at it very differently. The reason I'd buy a D3 isn't because it's the cheapest. It isn't even because it has the highest rental yields either. There are better places for that. The reason I'd consider D3 is because I think it's becoming one of the last few communities in Dubai with a genuine identity. And I think identity becomes more valuable over time. There are plenty of communities in Dubai with beautiful apartments, gyms and swimming pools. Those things can all be copied. But communities with character, culture and a reason for people to choose them are much harder to create. Walk around D3 today and it already feels different. The architecture, cafes, galleries, public spaces, the waterfront. But it doesn't feel like another residential development. It feels like a neighborhood. and I think that's an important difference. Another reason I like it is because of the master developer. Miras has built some of Dubai's most recognizable lifestyle destinations. Think about City Walk, Blue Waters, Jumeirah Bay. Whether you like every project or not, they've shown that they understand how to create places genuinely people want to spend their time in. That's what gives me confidence. Because when I buy a property, I'm just not buying an apartment, I'm buying into the long-term vision of the community. Then there's the bigger picture. D3 isn't just growing by accident. It aligns closely with Dubai's D33 economic agenda. Dubai wants to attract more entrepreneurs, creative businesses, technology companies, and global talent. D3 sits right in the middle of that vision. Now, does that guarantee property prices will rise? Of course not. But I always like asking one question. If Dubai succeeds with this long-term plan, which communities are more likely to benefit the most? Personally, I think D3 is one of them. Whenever I evaluate an investment, I always ask myself, who is actually going to live here? Not who could. Who would genuinely choose this area over somewhere else? In D3, I think the answer is very clear. Entrepreneurs, executives, creative professionals, and business owners. People who could afford to live almost anywhere but deliberately chooses the lifestyle. That's the kind of demand I like because it's driven by preference, not just affordability. Now let's talk numbers. Today, many of the residential launches start from around 2.2 million dirhams for a one-bedroom apartment. Projected gross rental yields are generally between 6 to 7%. Not the strongest on the list, but again, that's not why I'm buying it here. Over the years, the price per square foot for D3 has moved up from 2,600 dirhams per square foot to now 3,300 dirhams per square foot. And this is telling me something important. The market is starting to recognize what this area could become. Now, would I recommend D3 to everyone? Definitely not. If someone came to me saying, I only care about rental yield, I'd probably point them somewhere else. If someone wanted the lowest entry price, I'd point them somewhere else too. But if someone told me I'm investing for the next 10 years, I want quality over quantity, I want to own somewhere that's becoming more desirable every year, D3 would absolutely be part of that conversation. Because I think communities with a genuine identity become harder to replicate as cities mature. And when something becomes harder to replicate, it usually becomes more valuable. At the end of the day, every investor's situation is different. Whether you're buying your very first property, you're an experienced investor looking to grow your portfolio, or you're an end user trying to find the right home, the best investment always depends on your goals. If you'd like to talk through your options, I'm always happy to help. Drop a comment below or reach out to me directly. My contact details are in the description. I'd love to hear about your budget, your plans, and help you point in the right direction. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe because I'll be doing individual deep dives into each of these communities. I'll be sharing more data, market insights, and everything you need to know to make a smarter investment decision. I'll see you in the next one.